Hey.
All right. So we're here. It's live. We're doing another live Sunday show. Let It Out. This is a little bit different. You're here with Vic and Joe. We've got Ed Foychuk, and we'll have Clayton Barton on air shortly from How to Draw Comics. We're just here to shoot the shit. And, well, we're trying not to curse on this show. It's not Friday Freestyle. But, yeah, we're going to talk about the sequential challenge that they have going on and what's coming up for Ed and also with Clayton. I think Clayton, everyone pretty much knows what he's doing all the time. He has a great podcast on HTDC, How to Draw Comics, where they talk about the book and with his brother. So I don't get on enough. I'd love to hear more about it so we can hear more about that and what's going on next for Ed and his courses and what he brings to the fight for all of us growing artists out there. So it's going to be a great show. We're not going to do a draw along today. There's not going to be any challenges. We'll just chat. But I think it could be an opportunity. Maybe Ed's got some things in his back pocket as far as files. Maybe we can see some of the sequential challenges that was put in. I know that he was just saying that they've been working on the reviews and checking them out. So this will be fun to see when they're going to finish the challenge, when they're going to have like the winners announced and all that sort of good stuff. So this will just be a chat with us and how to draw, and it'll be a good time.
Yeah. All right, let's bring them in. Hey, Ed, how's it going?
Right, what's up, guys?
How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm actually a little tired because yesterday we had all 5 of us judges going through, churning through the entries and just doing our review, giving our feedback on it. You guys, okay, so we should kind of rewind. For the last 2 months in How to Draw Comics, I've been hosting this Winter Sequential Slam, 2-page script of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that was written by Death Pimison. So we had a good, solid round of entries here, especially being at 2 pages, right? Like, 2 pages is very discouraging, or not discouraging, intimidating. Yeah, daunting. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Especially if you've never done sequentials.
It's okay.
Like,
it can be.
It's tough. Freaking tough, right? So like, I'll give you an example. When I have a single page challenge, we usually get 50 to 100 entries or something like that, right? And when it's a double page challenge, 20 to 30 entries or something. So I think we were over 30 entries this time, and it went really, really well. Some really strong entries. And yeah, and I want to thank you guys too. You guys at Comics Cast, we were piecing together different prizes. And I think the main thing that happens, like we give out some prizes, we give out some money, that type of thing. But we're not Bill Gates or anything, right? We're not even his ex-wife. We don't have lots of money to give or anything, right? So what we do give is things like critiques, mentorship, courses, and those types of things, because that's kind of our jam, right? And so, but I wanted to thanks to Comics Cast for donating some of the prize money as well. That really helps kind of push this contest along, just build up some excitement and stuff, right?
Well, the prize money is an easy thing to do. I'd love to in the future, as you keep building up and you keep getting more and more entries, and How to Draw keeps building towards what its goal is to teach people how to draw comics, which is the great thing about these sequential challenges, is that we find a way to, whether it's supplies or training from your neck of the woods to whatever it is, How to Draw Comics and Comics Cast is in no way partnered at all. It's just we're part of the community, and my biggest thing is I totally want to support the community however we can. So I think we're going to keep building up. But when it comes to supplies, Vic knows I'm all about doing supplies to give to other people, but I totally want to.
Yeah.
I totally want to put like
we're going to be on everything.
Cool. It's going to be across everything.
Well, I think it's not like we're massive corporate entities that we need to sign written agreements of cooperation or anything like that. Sometimes friends just help friends. And that's what our community is really about, right? Like whether it's teaching or just hyping or whatever it is. Like when I see somebody bust out some cool artwork or something, I'm like, I'm going to share that shit, right? Like that's kind of who we are, right?
At our core, man, that's what we are, and we have to check ourselves when we're getting a little bit overly dramatic. And then, You
Do
know,
we get
sometimes,
dramatic?
you know, there's always that one guy in a group that's like, you know what, that hand looks like it looks like a toothpaste jar. You know, you suck, and it's just like, wait a minute, let's slow down the critique. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
building,
get you.
there's always a thin line between being honest, telling people you need a thick skin to be better,
Mhm.
and being a mentor. Like, if you truly are at a level that you should be a mentor, then there's something honorable about being a mentor. Like, you need to be
Yep.
able to build people up, but also be honest with them if they're just not, if what they need to work on, you know. And I think you guys usually strike that balance. So who's your judges for the contest?
Oh, now you're gonna press me on this. It was me and Clayton, Death Pimison, because he's done cover work for TMNT through IDW.
He did the art spread and the writing for
Yeah.
this challenge.
Yeah, he
So
did. Yeah, his stuff is great. There was another guy, Jason, who also does cover work for Turtles, but I can't, his name is escaping me right now. And
last name Flowers?
Yeah, I think so. Doing the Bulldog thing or something like that, or
Yeah, Jason
Yeah,
Flowers.
yeah. Bounty Bullfrog, I think.
Yeah. That's him. Sorry, it was the first time meeting him and stuff. We had chatted a little bit, and this was my first interaction with him, and it was just so hectic because I was trying to set up the video for the critique and all the files and stuff like that. So I didn't really get to hang with him as much, but he seemed legit, had great insight into it and stuff.
He just
and Rick,
his cover right now is actually up on his page. He's doing the newest cover for The Last Ronin. So
right,
yeah, he's active.
Yeah, he's very active. I don't think he's doing interior work at all, but I think he's doing cover work for those guys and stuff. Right?
Yeah, so, cover work, and he does his own interiors in his own books. Yeah,
right. Yeah. Totally. So it was a really good panel. Lots of great feedback on the entries. Talking about feedback, though, this is where it, generally we've all given feedback to everybody, right? And you want to hedge and do the sandwich little things. What's like that? You want to sandwich it between, like, okay, here's a compliment, here's a little bit of tough love, and here's another compliment. And ideally, when you're working with someone one-on-one, you like to sandwich and give them a nice big sandwich and stuff, right? Unfortunately, when we're dealing with multiple entries, we're not always able to perfectly package that sandwich. So I kind of give a little disclaimer at the beginning of critique videos and say, hey, listen, we love you. We love that you submitted stuff. Like, please understand that we're giving you praise right now for all of you that submitted. But because of time constraints, because we've got so many people going at it, that we might just hit on the things that jump. You know what I mean? When we're looking at a page and stuff like that, we're like, okay, well, bang, bang, bang. There's our 3 main points. And they could be 3 strong, 3 negative. It's there's no bias in there. It's just like, this is what punches hard, and this is what we're going to talk about when we're talking about it and stuff. Because with that many entries, it'd be like a 5-hour video session to really get too in depth on it and stuff, right? Enough that we spend 5 minutes per entry, I think is pretty reasonable. And
yeah. I think it's fair too. I mean, you look at what people do if they go to a con, for instance, right? I mean, you guys are giving somebody feedback that they would be standing in line for hours at a con, and maybe between a minute and 5 minutes of feedback that you would get at a con, right? Maybe even less.
Totally. And it's cool because there was like 5 of us. So most of the time we agreed on things, and we saw certain things that we're like, oh, like, check that out. This is interesting. What do we all think about this, right? Occasionally we'd be like, no, I think this works. No, I don't think it works, or whatever, And so when we do give this feedback, we're basically saying, take it or leave it. Do you know what I mean? Like, here's some insights that maybe you didn't notice. And you either take it and either work on that. And like, sometimes it all would be is like, whole page is perfect. Just the head tilt needed some, just to move a little bit to push the viewer's eye a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, just, it could be one thing like that, and the page is banging, right? Like, so sometimes it's an easy fix. Sometimes it's an entire freaking redraw, and you're like, damn, like, next time I'll apply those lessons for next page.
All right. Roughly around how many entries did you get? Do you know?
You know what? I want to say 30. I actually didn't count because I just had their names. I didn't have it like numbered or anything. So we were just banging through the names and stuff. And we had a
That's
couple
lot.
partial entries, but they didn't quite finish, and that was interesting. We kind of wrestled on how to deal with that. How to deal with a partial entry, right? And I kind of approached this thinking that imagine I'm an editor, publisher, whatever, and I put out a project to freelancers, right? And I'm going to give feedback on this project, right? And if somebody gives me half a job, you know, like it's not even close to going to print. So
right.
Yeah.
Well,
what am I supposed to do with this?
I think that's fair. And I know you guys probably did go back and forth because at some point you're like, well, do we just take pencils? Do we take inks and colors? Like, and do we allow people to work together? So like, that's sort of the thing when you get your stuff reviewed at a con, the argument is in your portfolio, you're not going to send the stuff that you have to apologize for. It's like, oh, I didn't work long enough or whatever. So I'm like from the outside looking into your challenge as a guy who creates, I'm like, okay, if I'm going to put something in, it has to be finished because part of the judgment is, are you able to finish said content by date? So I mean, that's part of it. I'd be shocked if anybody was like, oh crap. So like when I did mine,
I hope they don't get offended.
Years ago when I did mine, my greatest regret was that I did colors at the last minute. That was a huge mistake. I should have just left it alone. You know, I'm like, darn, just, you know, do the clean stuff. And if you don't have time to finish, do the pencils, you know, or do whatever. You know, don't try to throw in inks if you're not, you know, going to finish them.
Yeah. I agree with Silverbacks there that I was blown away by some of them. But you know what? They didn't have to be. When I say finished, it doesn't mean full-blown rendered, colored, everything. It could be thin line animation pencils. I don't give a piss. You know what I mean? As long as there's certain things we're looking for. Like we're looking for adherence to the script. We're looking for consistency in style, consistency in character depiction, things like that. Do you know what I mean? Panel flows. There's certain key points that we're looking for when we're judging and everything, right? So it could be that was the Spidey one.
Yeah, that's right. That's the one I'm talking about.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah. I actually love that. Like the entries that I got off of that challenge, that they were some solid freaking entries. Like I was just like, these people like blow my mind. You guys, there's so much talent out there that it's just like, damn, you know, like I just love it.
It's intimidating. It really
is.
I wanted to enter some in the past, and I see some of these like, wow, these guys are really good. It gets intimidating. I know how that is, but you know, it shouldn't intimidate people because we all have different styles, and you know, your style might click. It might click with everybody, and you know, put it out there, let everybody see it.
That's a good point, Vic. Yeah.
Let's be frank, though. There's also different skill levels, right? And ours is a learning platform. So there's guys that already have 1 foot in professional publishing, and there's guys or girls, people, right? That are just totally starting out. They could be teens. They could be in their 40s and saying, hey, I've always wanted to draw comic books, right? And this is my 2 months in, and this is what I got. And so we judged it according to each entry. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like, oh, damn, this guy slayed it. This next one's garbage. No, it wasn't at all like that. It was like, okay, let's look at the skill level here. Okay, at this skill level, to bring yourself to the next point, you know, here's a couple little nudges for you and stuff, and that'll help bring you up to at least that next level, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. I can share a couple entries here if we want to discuss.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I've got some queued up, but like nothing. Let's see. Let me share screen. And you guys can throw that up. See if there's any issues with that. How's it look? You guys can see it okay?
Looks good, yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Perfect. Got it. Let's bring us to the bottom so we can make it a little bit. Actually, we're covering it up.
Yeah, I actually we debated that too. Do we want us all along the bottom because there's 5 of us, or do we want us off to the side? Side was much better. We don't cover the artwork. So like I remember this one here. Let's see. I'm just gonna see who it was by. This one was by Levi Olson, and we can see that it is an extremely strong page, right? Like there's a lot of work that went into it, a lot of good things. are happening on this page. But we did have some, not problems with it, but some things that we felt about it that were kind of like, I don't know how much we're loving these pieces. Okay, so something that I always look for is panel flow, and this flowed not too bad. You know, we've got a center point. Oh, where am I going here? That should work. There we go. And it flows into this battle. This battle kind of flows here. This panel here doesn't really bring us over to here. Like, we could have used this staff a little bit to bring us into this one. We could have actually flipped this panel so the thwack brings us over into this one. You know, that type of stuff, right? Like, depending on how these pages are set up, this blade could have been a little bit more directional and bringing us to the next page instead of bringing us back up this way. Right?
You know what? Can I add 2 cents on this? This is really
please do. Yeah.
Because this page is almost like they're going, like, I don't know. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but it almost seemed like they purposely went for chaos because, like you said, everything you said about that bottom left panel should be changed. But it almost seems like you're crossing the panel the way your eye wants to go, and then the hit of the staff almost forces like this jarring effect. Like, you almost feel that force.
Brings you over here.
Your eye is jerked. In a weird
that could
way.
be a strategy.
It
definitely could be a strategy.
Yeah. Anyway.
Up here, we've kind of got this thing that's going nowhere. These guys are looking kind of up, so it brings the viewer's eye kind of in an upward direction. And we've got this beautiful splash or big panel here that looks really kind of badass, right?
Yeah.
Another thing that we kind of felt a little funny on this was the difference in rendering. If we look at P1 and P2, we've got like kind of almost hard to make out heavy inks and stuff like that, right? By the time we get to the last on the final page, it's almost a thin line animation kind of outline. Like, it could be not so much a children's coloring book, but it's almost there type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so why the transition? I don't know if it makes any sense.
Yeah, no, fair point. Almost like he started inking and then was looking at the time frame. Whoever it was the artist. Who is this? Do you know who the artist is?
This is Levi Olson.
Levi Olson, yeah. I remember seeing this one in the comments. And just being blown away by the expressions on all the characters' faces.
Totally.
Like, it was very, very impressive.
Yeah, the facial expressions. She. I think Levi's a dude, but whatever. Really rocked the facial expressions. Like, they had it pinned down. It just, like I said, when we're looking at entries like this, we're kind of like, okay, well, there's so much goodness going on. It's like that last page. I'd color the hell out of that page. That's a beautiful, easy page to color, right? Like, I'm sure Vic is looking at it too, and it's like, we could get out of that, right? But the first page, you know, we're gonna get we really got to dig into that P2 because, like, you know, even here. Okay, so when I'm judging, I have my tablet set up off to the side here, and it's basically the exact same size as a comic book page. So I've got it about a foot from my face, and so when I'm looking at this, I don't zoom to try to figure things out. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's part of the nature. So if I have to, like, bring my face that close, or if I have to use a tool to zoom in, something's been lost. And some of the entries, that's what happened, is like they just got too muddled in their own inks and stuff, right? Yeah. Anyways, Levi's is great. Like, it's like killer artist, right? Like, I think we can all agree with that.
It's great. You guys have a hard job because there's so many things like you said, storytelling and expressions are great. There's a couple of anatomy issues, but like, you know, it's still a great page. You know, like that last one's fantastic. I like that one a lot. Like you just said, I would color that one. Like, that's a great page to color, and it would have made that page pop.
That looks like toy art. Like it could be the back of a big play set or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, it is professional published level stuff. Like, it just, it's within its own style and stuff. He's rocking it. You know, he's rocking so many things in this, right? Like, it just, there's just a couple little, don't know about the panel flow and don't know about this switch of styles a little bit, right?
I think that, like you said, a lot of these guys are right on the cuff, you know, or they're working already. So this guy's obviously right on the cuff. So when you're seeing some things, what are some what are the things that you say, okay, you're not ready? And not necessarily for him, but like generally, for anyone who's watching, what are some key things that they can go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, I have to work on these things, because no matter how my panel flow is or whatever it is, these 3 or 2 things are going to immediately tell the guy that's looking over my stuff that I'm not ready and I need to go back to the drawing board.
I think we could all kind of throw one piece out there, but for me, one of the biggest ones is consistency. Like having characters look like the character they're supposed to look like from panel to panel, page to page. If things start, I'm like, who the hell is that? Why is the head shape different? Why do we keep shifting? You know what I mean? Like, that's the biggest. That was through a lot of entries here. A big glaring issue was that, we're doing turtles here. And if you pick a turtle style, like we didn't even care. Like some of them were pretty. They functified them. Like it was awesome, right? Like they really changed up their stuff. But they have to be consistent. You can't all of a sudden like head shape starts getting wonky and stuff like that. Like it just be consistent in your stylistic approach.
Yeah, they probably just jumped. They might have just jumped in with excitement. I would have done the same thing. Instead of doing those character studies that you need to do before just to get your look down. Yep. And you could go back to as reference to make sure everything stays the same. I know I'm guilty of that. I get excited and I just jump right into a page. I'm like, it doesn't look like the character no more.
And not only that, but I bet like we'll take one panel or something like that and work the shit out of it. They would be like, this is the panel and everybody looks perfect in it and everything's great and stuff like that. And next one, they're malformed. You know what I mean? Like it's just because it's like whatever, I'm just rushing on through, right?
There was a comment that just popped up. Yeah, I was going to pull that up. Talking about word bubbles. Can you go into that? Yeah, please.
Okay, so when this was written, Death put in captions, and he said you could take them or leave them, but you should space for them. We weren't that hard on people on this one, but I think the next contest, we're really going to make sure that and be pressing on, because these contests are almost like an evolution in themselves of what we're focusing on and how much we're pushing the entries and stuff like that. Right? The next contest, we're going to push and say, listen, either you have the word bubbles, everybody has them in, or you have the room. If you do not have the room, it's not working. The page isn't working, the panel isn't working, whatever it is and stuff, right? So there was a couple things that like I said, there was the main word bubble that had to be in here was that turtle power. For whatever happened to the turtles in the 90s. I was a fan of turtles in the 80s. They got commercialized in the 90s and shit, right? They started saying turtle power. And what's funny is like I think half the entries forgot to put that in there. But that was a key thing that Death really wanted in there and stuff, right? And not just forgot to put it in there, but forgot to leave any room for it whatsoever. So it's frustrating for us because it's like, hey, listen, I asked you to do something. Why didn't you do it? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we all have jobs or have had jobs or whatever it is. And like for me, freelance artists and stuff, like, if a client asks me to do something and it's not freaking in there, well, I don't get paid. Why would they pay me? I didn't do what they asked me to do. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. And that kind of goes back to where I was thinking about saying, okay, well, next time, should people be sending you roughs? Get like a would-be potential editor that would be like, okay, I don't approve of your roughs. Go back.
Yeah.
That would be kind of interesting because then you'd say, hey, where the hell's my turtle power? That's the one thing I care about. I don't care how they're drawn. You can draw them at any stage, at any artist, no matter what, however you feel like it. But I want my turtle power. And then you kick them back. But that would be a little too much. But that's pretty funny. I was thinking about that earlier. Anyway,
where are you guys sharing this on Facebook right now?
Yeah, so it's on Facebook. I don't have my phone anymore. I broke it, so I can't share out to all the wonderful places that I love. So I didn't share it to anywhere other than our group. So yeah, feel free to.
Okay, I'm gonna have to
whomever
grab it from Comics Cast because I want to share it on my pages too.
Cool, yeah. Let's see here while you're sharing.
So I think another thing a lot of times happens to these young artists that are doing this, and I've been guilty of this in the past, is they take the most exciting panels and draw those first.
Totally.
So they end up drawing these panels and they're like, okay, let me make that turtle power page rock, or let me take where they're busting out of the sewer. It has to be amazing. And now they're left with the talking panels that to some artists are boring, and they don't put as much work into it as they do the action shots.
Yep.
And their artwork changes. One of the things I do if I get a script or anything, I draw it straight through. Because before I would draw the action pages, and now I had to go through all these talking panels, and I just wasn't putting as much effort into it.
Totally.
So that way you stay consistent. Just go straight through it. Don't focus just on the action, because you need those quiet moments in comics. And like the one where, they're getting up, or they're, that third panel, them just getting up could have used a little bit more excitement, but it seems a little stiff. It seems kind of stale. Definitely, like you said, that his staff maybe already having some motion in it, like he's turning to react already, could have helped it out a lot.
Yep. Why don't we look at a second one here? And I'm just picking them randomly out of the entries, so there's no real bias here or whatever. This is David Jackson.
Oh,
you guys can give me your thoughts, a little bit of what you think on that.
Well, I think that first panel needed a little bit more to it. You don't exactly know what that is or where it is. It needed a little bit bigger establishing shot, giving me a little bit more information as to what that was and where it was. I like that second one a lot. That's a good one.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that one a lot.
It's funny because you guys, I guarantee, are going to have a lot of the same insights that we had. When we're looking at it, we're like, what's with the first panel, right? Like, why is it half or three-quartered? Do you know what I mean? What's it doing there? It doesn't really, it's supposed to be an establishing shot showing us where where everything is, but it's not really establishing anything, right?
Right.
So, what's going on there, right? Like, yeah, it's interesting because all of us were kind of like, what's happening here, right?
Yeah, I don't see any power coming from any of these turtles. I'm a little frustrated. Where's my turtle power?
Oh yeah, right? Yeah, and so now that I've said that to you, that's going to be the first thing that you guys are always looking at. Like, well, what the hell? Where is that thing? Right? Like,
Well, also,
expected it.
And from the panel where he pops out of the sewer to the second one, could have used a little angle change. It looks like the same one. It works, but it could have used a little bit, a different angle to set up like the distance between the characters.
Yeah, for sure. There's two things I'll say. There's one, maybe I'm a little bit frustrated coming from an artist point of view that I'm not a letterer, right? So I can see why people are like, oh, crud, I don't even know how to begin making the text or whatever. That could be an issue. So, but I can see the frustration. But for this piece right here, I'm frustrated with so much of it, but I absolutely love Michelangelo, Raphael. I love that top panel on the right.
Yeah, their faces.
On page 2. Yeah.
I absolutely love it. It shows all of their characters so perfectly in one shot. And that kind of like goes back to, don't skip panels that show the characters just at rest or doing something. Like, give them a chance to show expression. And that's my favorite one of everything on here.
Actually, I gotta say, his faces, like how he depicted his character design and choice for the turtles, is so banging. Like, it's just like I'm drooling. Like, it just,
yeah. So Death is just basically saying, hey, they didn't need to necessarily have it awesome. Turtle power, great word or whatever.
Yeah,
they needed to work it into the design. So that's fair. That's fair.
So is it there? Is it in the design? Well,
could have slashed across the top.
Could be. There's a little space, but I wouldn't say there's enough for that.
Turtle power.
Yeah.
But it would make more sense to be dead center the way everything is laid out.
Right.
So where Michelangelo is, Michelangelo would have to shift left and up a little bit and maybe put it right in that space where Michelangelo is right now. That may work.
Yeah.
But, then, okay, so if it's not here, why do we have this giant space here?
It leads the line down from Michelangelo down to the fight.
Maybe. I don't know. I think
I'm just giving
I think this comes from Raphael more.
Yeah, choosing our real estate, we could have cropped tighter or something like this. In my opinion, right? Like it's just a huge space of a building that's not. It's okay, but it's not capturing our attention for any particular reason or anything, right? So
I love it. I love these entries. They're so close. They're so close.
Yeah, if I had to nitpick one thing as a colorist, don't use a red background with your red blood coming out.
Yeah,
that's a big one for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a couple entries actually did that in that same panel, and the only time it really worked was I felt like it was like a silhouette. It was all black on red. Oh, so the blood, the characters, everything was like spurting, and do you know what I mean? And then it was just on red, and so it gave that blood-soaked kind of feeling. Here we lose the blood because of the red, right? You're right.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting because Vic, you're going to look at this as a colorist, and not all these entries were colored. I would say, I don't know, a third of them were colored, maybe, or close to that. And I started off as a colorist too, and so like I love seeing colors, but then I start to be like, oh, what the fuck? Why did they do this? I start critiquing the colors too much in my head, right?
Yeah.
But I want to say again, David Jackson, like one, he's an amazing artist, and this, is honestly just a couple little tweaks. This is a published book. No, let's say it right now. This is better than a lot of the books that are being published right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. You know, and to go back to the difference between this one and the last one was a little bit closer to being polished in some ways. But what I noticed as being somebody who has this problem, rotating the torso and rotating the elbow and hand in perspective, that's the biggest thing that took me away from the last one. If I was giving a critique back to him, I said, look, you need to work on moving your body into perspective of the camera to give more depth, because all your movements are basically side shots of the bicep. This one, the entire body is a part of the character, and where it could be polished with colors and stuff like that, and maybe some compositional issues. Like you said, panel work, really focusing on that storytelling wise, but the whole character is there in their whole pose, which is like, for me, 98% of it. If you could do that, then pretty much do anything. So it's fine tuning.
I'm looking at this, so now that I look at that last panel, I think he was probably trying to leave an empty space between the turtles, all four of them, to put the turtle power there.
Maybe.
So you could have the balloons. But then that brings up the big issue of why the empty space over there. He could have moved that monster right towards the middle, cut it all off, you know, made him a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
The
empty space kind of, and it's not empty, it's building, right? And so like, okay, well, why, right? Like that, and this is, this is what I was talked about at the beginning of this show is like, when we're giving critiques, it's not about ripping him down, because
no, not at all. This guy's fantastic.
Do you know what I mean? He's fantastic, and like, it's kind of like I'm bowing down. But then I bow down and say, oh, I just kind of say, why don't you do one or two? And I hope that whenever artists, see this stuff and everything, they kind of just say, yeah, you know what? I blanked on that. Or they're just going to say, whatever, I disagree. And they can do that too, right?
No, this one's good. This guy's right there.
Yeah. But I'm just going to kind of pop through a few and just see if, let's see if, like, don't mind me.
That reminds me of old school. That's like the original Turtles. The last one.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Let's talk about this one from Andy Liu. It's got a lot of good things going on in it, right? And this is a problem because I saw the whips for it, and what he did was he kind of drew this all separately, right? He drew each thing as a totally separate, almost like an illustration. And what happens is there's no flow. This leads us here. This leads us here. This leads us here. Or here. Do you know what I mean? This leads us here. This leads us here. And nothing led us here. Like, it should be like that. And it's not.
Yeah.
He drew them individually, didn't plan it. And it becomes a series of illustrations, right? And that's really what I try to teach in my course is like have strategy. Have strategy for even colors. Like if you're wanting to move things with color and stuff like that, have strategy when you're moving hands and stuff. Have it doesn't mean that you're always going to be perfect, but just throwing random shit will distract even, right? Like, and so this is what's happening. He's pushing us in the wrong direction with no intent.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep hounding on the other point of view on this, because maybe in these comments on how to draw, have these guys put their freaking roughs in there, and that'll allow for some feedback early on. I want to say you might already do that, but I don't remember seeing that on this one. But
the problem is he put these up as individual pieces. We never saw them laid out. It was just like, hey, here's 4 turtles standing. Hey, here's a hit. Here's this. And I actually think Andy, his line work usually is quite solid and stuff, right? So he was just posting line work up and saying, hey, here's my latest work. And it was great, because I was like, man, I really like how you do your line work. Like, it's great. But the problem is, like, it's like, I don't know, making a pizza with all your ingredients separately, like, you know, melting cheese over here, baking a crust over here, doing the mushrooms over there, and then just putting it together. And it may or may not work, but there wasn't the strategy that laid it out, right?
And I give him a lot of credit for this bird's eye view one. Not a lot of people try to go for these shots of like the above ground. Those are hard to do. So
hell yeah,
I applaud him for putting that in there. It changes the camera angle. He has a lot of different angles.
Yep.
It just the way he said it, the way it reads is the.
He's got a lot of great illustrations here. That's what I'll say about Andy.
Yeah,
like,
he does.
I like him as a pinup illustration dude.
But it's good. You know what? He just learned something. You might be a great pinup guy. You're doing a sequential, and now you're getting an opportunity to be like, well, this doesn't quite work, and why? And that's the whole purpose of all this. Now, my only issue with all of this is just I feel bad for the rhino. Like, at some point, I don't feel like that's the bottom.
Rocksteady.
Like he's getting beat up. Like, I don't feel like the turtles are heroes on this one.
I blame Death. Death has got
point.
some anger issues, I think, and he's taking it out on Rocksteady in this script.
Yeah, Rocksteady, that's right. I can't even remember the character's name, so why do I get to judge the characters?
I'm just gonna pop through and see if there's.
Oh man, beautiful! I love it. Black and whites. You talk about that all day long, just on inks. That's great.
Now there is one panel that bugged all of us here. Like, there's a lot of things that we all loved. So you tell me, what is the one panel that bugged us?
That's interesting, because everything flows pretty well. I'd say it was the second panel more than likely, just because of the grays, but I think that would be fixed in colors. It's hard to tell.
Vic, any thoughts?
Top one? You don't know which one's which?
I think it's that for me is the one where they're standing in the sewers. What would that be? The fourth one.
Yep, P4.
Yeah, that one just I don't know. It just seems it doesn't read very well. It's hard to see what's going on.
Exactly.
It has a weird angle to it too.
I love that one. I'm gonna fight both of you on that one, because you can tell what it is. You can tell the guy's dead, and really kind of boils down to sometimes inks aren't going to sell it. Sometimes you got to put the colors in. But I get it.
Which one are you thinking there? Because we're talking about P4 right here.
Oh
yeah, that one. That's the one we're talking about. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I was looking at the bottom right. But no, I get it. I was reading that one more as leading me right into the next panel. But I get it. Yeah, it's hard to tell. And again, that's light source coloring. Sometimes that's going to have to sell that sort of more. It's the right idea for leading the eye. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I can see.
But just the way that. They've chosen the ink rendering. It's like I have to put my No, I can't even do that. Like, it's very hard for me to figure out what the hell is going on. Actually, now I'm just realizing. Okay, so I didn't know this, but I'm going to zoom now. They're actually fighting right now. I didn't know what's going on there. So now this is the first time I zoomed. I never zoomed through all the critiques or anything like that. So if I can't see it at its normal sizing, something's up.
Yeah, and that might be a great deal if they made it a horizontal that took more of the page up, because I really like that angle. I love the idea of it, but it doesn't fit. Yeah, it just doesn't fit.
Hey, Sarah brought this up, and I want to talk about this a little bit. If you want to pop her comment in there. The turtle power kind of is a bit confusing to me. Which one is who? Okay, so this is something that we kind of discussed a little bit, and it depends how old you are. because I grew up in black and white turtles.
Mhm.
The only way you knew who the turtle was by their weapons and sometimes their bad attitude or something like that or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Before the everything got color coded and label stamped on their everywhere, and it was cowabunga and pizza.
Turtles cartoon, yeah.
Right. It was black and white turtles, and you just could differentiate because of their weapons. And so for me, I don't really ever have any problems differentiating between the turtles, because the only time I have to is like, okay, well, who's saying what here? And I just see the weapon they're holding or whatever it is, right? I don't know. How do you guys feel about, do you care about like the new style turtles, old? Does it bother you either way?
I'm, you know what? I'm like you. I grew up on the black and white ones. So looking at the black and white ones, I know who they are because of the weapons. I don't necessarily
I don't know what
need the color, because there's been sometimes when all the turtles have red. I believe that was the phase they went through too.
Yeah.
So again, I look at the weapons and I know who they are, and maybe that's just me because growing up with the black and white turtles, that's how I identified them.
They were all red because the covers were colored, right? So they all had,
that's right, they were. Yeah,
it was black and white interiors and colored covers, and so they all just had red.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit of neither, really. So I didn't like the cartoon. I appreciate what the cartoon did. Basically, they said, "Oh, we're going to buy this indie comic and we're going to make it into a cartoon," which is phenomenal, right? But they said, "Okay, we need to identify which one's which, and then give them personalities."
Yeah.
So that forced more storytelling elements within the characters, and I love where the comics are in the last like 12 years.
Yep.
That's where I've really enjoyed it. They've merged both together and turned out some really good stories. So that's sort of where I'm at. I do appreciate forcing that, but yeah, when they originally came out, they were just ninjas that murked people. Like
totally.
They were too dark. So, but I'm slightly younger than you are, man. I'm a '90s baby, you know. Born in the '80s, but grew up with the cartoons and stuff. So
I think I'm almost 50, man. So
yeah,
like,
you got a few years on me.
I got a few years on you people. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, me too. I'm almost 52. So
are you? Right on, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were that old. That's good.
We're the
stuff.
70s
yeah,
kid.
45, man. I'm old.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
I turned 48 this year. So damn.
Woo.
Damn.
You are older than I am. I'll just put it that way.
Let's see if there's anything else. Like, the reason I'm just kind of scrolling through some of these to see, there was some things that popped out that I think were important. And
I remember that one.
Style.
yeah, there's some solid entries, right? Like, I like this one. This reminds me of the original Turtles.
Yeah, I want that one signed. Can I get a copy of that? Whose is that? I want to call him.
That is Tom Cuthbert.
That is original panel on a paper. That is a page.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And like, listen, I sometimes feel like these critique things can get all negative because we're like, I didn't do this, didn't do that. I freaking love all these entries. Like, I'm so happy with them all. It just, when we get down to it, it's like, okay, we got to go to work now and we got to do this and stuff, right? But my enthusiasm for seeing the turtles and everything is just, it's huge. It's just, I have to separate that from, okay, well, this is the feedback that needs to happen, right? So yeah, this page got us all enthused.
Yeah, I like that. And his establishing shot.
Yeah, I feel bad about people that aren't at this level. The biggest thing I'm concerned about is that people are going to hear you say, "Oh, they need to work on this, and this to get ready," and then someone's like, "Well, they're so amazing. What's the point of me even trying?" Come on, I don't want people to think that way when you're getting critiques. This is just developing at every level, and everyone's on the same path and journey. And probably heard this 1,000 times, but if you're new, you haven't heard this. You got to keep driving and you just get better. Who cares what age you are? It's about how many hours are you putting on your drafting table, and just move from there. Don't worry about what your age is. 16, 46, 52, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do this. This is probably somebody who's a little bit newer to art and stuff like that. Eric Lalone. And I love this page too. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell he's pushing himself in different ways, right? Like, there's a really working, like, he's got the 1 point perspective in P1 and P2 and P3, right? He's really, he's doing that. He's working on his anatomy. There's a lot of things that he's doing, and you could see, like, okay, he's not a beginner. Like, he's the first time picking up a pencil, right? he's learned some things. He's learned some skills and said, okay, this is how we operate in perspective and things like that. But okay, that's where he's at. Now, once he's there, what can we give him for advice to bring him up to the next level, right? Like, how can we go from whatever level we want to talk about it, like level 3 to level 4 or something like that, right? You know, like, how can we do that to help him just push a little bit harder? And even look, he's pushing himself. Look at that last panel, overhead view.
Yeah, I noticed that. That's tough to do. I gotta give him credit for that. That's really tough to do.
When I was drawing, like, let's say this level, and let's call it last year or something like that, I wouldn't have been ballsy enough to do an overhead view on that. That takes a whole.
And probably not even do a sequential challenge and put it in there with everyone else. Like that's yeah. That's
to put yourself out like that. Damn, you know. And so, you know, sometimes, like I said, maybe you were saying Eric's looking at this and he's like, "Oh, I'm not at the level that a couple of these other entries were," and that would totally miss the beats. You know, that's missing the whole purpose of this. That we're all on that same road. We're all trying to move forward and stuff like that. And we're just a couple of people just got a head start. You know,
that's all it is. Yeah.
Yeah, don't be intimidated. Like I said earlier, I was intimidated by people seeing their artwork and being like, wow, they're so good. I'm not at that level yet. But just keep working. Like, we all started somewhere. So keep working, keep learning, keep pushing yourself. You're gonna get better with practice. And this guy's well on his way.
Totally.
He's got his forms down. He knows he's working on his camera angles. So he's gonna get there.
Yep.
And it doesn't hurt to maybe take a few courses. I don't know who teaches any courses, but I think there's some drawing comic book courses out there that you could probably find on how to draw comics. There's a few people on there. So just I don't know.
There it is.
ED or something.
Honestly, I think I've got 18 courses now, maybe.
Yeah, it's insane. And they're good. I can vouch for at least one of them. I can vouch for all of them, but I took one of them. The coloring course was on point, so it really changed how I did things.
It's funny. I want to totally redo that course now. Like, I'm like, okay, you know what? That's what I've actually started doing, is remastering some of my courses from years ago. So I'm almost done remastering my Faces course that I did 3 years ago. Wow. And so I wanted to just not just on a tech end, like have better audio and stuff like that, but just a few streamline the approaches. I found like I can get it a little bit tighter, have the lessons a little bit better, add in a few extra units that I feel that were either being missed or students had asked me about and stuff. So I'm creating new courses. I'm redoing kind of old ones and kind of throwing it all out there, and just hoping that the cool thing is, if you've ever bought those old courses, you get all the updates for free.
Oh,
right?
perfect.
That's awesome.
Great.
I never charge for added units or something like that or anything like that. It's like, once you buy the course, there's different ways to buy a course, right? You buy it from me or How to Draw Comics, you buy it on Udemy, something like that. Then you get it. Skillshare is the only one that's subscription model. And so when you're subscribing for something, you get it for as long as you're subscribing, just like Netflix. Once you cancel your subscription to Netflix, you no longer get to watch Big Bang Theory or whatever, right? So you don't get to watch my courses after that on that, right? So the updates are free though.
So one of the funny things that I was doing, I was on Instagram, and that was back when I was doing art all the time, and I was like, okay, how do I get noticed and all this sort of stuff? And I did this Red Sonja piece, and I colored it. I think this was the second piece I did after taking your course. And Red Sonja, the Instagram page for Red Sonja, they were like, oh, we really, really love it. Can you make some changes so we can post on our Instagram account? And I was like, cool, let's do it. And I was like, well, what exactly do you need changed? And I'm like, well, just change everything. But we love the colors. But we love the colors. I was like, that's all.
That's not the greatest backhanded compliment.
I was like, all right. And I'm not doing all that. I'll just leave. But it was just funny.
Hell, at least you felt like, okay, I think I've got a big step in my coloring now, right?
Yeah, the coloring was big. It helped me with my confidence. I mean, I ended up doing Upper Deck very soon after that. So,
cool.
It was all good. It was all good. Coloring theory, all that stuff was key. Those little small little cards, it's important to get that color theory down so that it pops. So that was a big part of it. Anywho, That's enough about me. I'm not
Nope.
important.
No, it's cool, man. It's cool. The one course that I would kind of recommend to everybody. Okay, you know how when we grew up, there was every industry has certain Bibles, right? You know, like
the Marvel way.
when I think of bodybuilding, it was the Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Right? Like every kind of section has its Bibles. And for when we were kids, it was How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, right? Right, like we were just like that's the bomb. That's the because it was the only kind of book out there almost at a certain point. It set the standard, right? I've got a course called How to Make Comics, and what that does, if you scroll down, it's the one second row there. How to Make Comics. That course basically brings you from concept to completion. Like it teaches you how to, not teaches you, but gives you ideas for how to come up with character concepts, story concepts, all these types of things. Then brings you into, I brought in a professional storyboard artist. We work on thumbs together. Then we bring it, understanding panel flow. Basically, that course is kind of like what I'm teaching in these contests, that you can, all the way up to sales, marketing, branding, printing, guys from Kablam. Like it was just, I brought in, let's say, almost a dozen experts in different areas of the industry to really help make this course what it is. And I think it's at 14 hours of content.
Oh, wow.
Video content. So what that does is I want that to be how can I explain the thing that you have in your library, that resource, that book that only it's a video content now that you always have. It's like, I want to watch that again. Like what did Ed talk about for world building? How did he approach that? And so it saves time instead of when you're getting into your book, you're spinning your wheels. Like it usually goes on. I think it's regular price $50 or something, but you could probably grab it for 10, 15 somewhere or something. Right. And the thing is, you're going to save by investing that $15, you're going to save yourself hours of stress and stuff. And that's part of what we try to do is like just streamline things, take a lot of the stress out of it, and just make it so that you can build it up in an easier, more succinct way and not stress yourself over it. Right.
For sure.
Yeah, this is what's great about this is the tools are available to everybody out there. It's not like when we were growing up, like we had to hunt down books, whether it was at the library or like going to cons and try to find, certain drawing books. I remember having trouble finding how to draw the Marvel Comics way.
Yep.
Like for the longest time. And that was like my goal to get that book. And now you have all these classes, available to you right at your fingertips. A couple of clicks to help you make a better artist. So a lot of guys have a lot of more going for them than we did growing up. We had to get out there and hunt things down, as opposed to going on Google and just searching for it.
I'm gonna add to that too is like my daughter's in high school now, and she comes home and she's like, Dad, this teacher sucks. Right now I'm like, yeah, I get it. And she's like, I can't even change out of class. I'm like, oh, welcome to public school, right? Like but when we come to online courses, that's the beauty of it, right? Like you can say this person matches my learning style. I really enjoy taking this class, so I'm going to take more of those classes, or I'm going to watch the preview units and stuff and see if this is my vibe, right? Whereas in like, let's say you go to the traditional route and you go to art school and you're locked in, you get a teacher that, and I'm not even saying they're bad teachers necessarily, it just doesn't vibe with you, right? What do? You're stuck paying your 10 grand for the year still, and you're not being your best self. And that doesn't mean a teacher that kisses your ass or anything. I'm not talking about Yelp reviews on teachers or something like that. What I'm talking about is like just learning styles versus teaching styles, right? And it doesn't always mesh. Online classes that you have the power in your hands to choose the teacher that meshes with you, right?
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
Go ahead, Vic. Yeah, no, go ahead.
Oh, I know, I agree with that because I had a teacher growing up who, like I've told this story before. I failed 3 years of art in high school, and she intimidated me to the point where I was like, maybe I'm not going to do this. Maybe I should,
totally.
Stop drawing because I keep hearing how bad I am.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and this was an art teacher telling me this. So I was, you know, you're thinking this is an art teacher, this is somebody who's teaching art. They know what they're talking about.
No,
You know,
no.
yeah, but you know, I tell people stick with it. You know, there's other ways of learning out there. I didn't start coloring until like a couple years ago. And I did, you know, there's so many tools, so many videos available.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to, you know, be light years of where I would have been probably studying on my own.
Totally.
You know, trying to read through books and stuff like that. Seeing somebody else do it and teaching me how to do it online.
Yep.
You know, that's where I learned everything. It's great.
Oh, there's everything from, you know, taking like understanding the fundamentals, like color theory and all that kind of stuff, and mood movement, all the way into like just like how the freak do we work Photoshop? That in itself is a massive beast, right? And so these online classes, tutorials, and stuff are great. The only one thing I'm going to say is there's a little bit of a difference between YouTube and paid content.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Right. A lot of time on YouTube, you'll get snippets of great or even phenomenal content, and then it'll lead you into a pay funnel, right? That'll often be it or something like that. Or you have to search for days and like try to find, okay, I got a video on how to use this layer setting. And then now I'm going to search for a while and find a video on this layer or whatever. And then Peppa Pig pops up and you're like, what the fuck? Right. Like, like YouTube is beautiful in a lot of ways, but it's also can be not the best mechanism for learning when you really start to get serious. Right. So that's where I'm like, okay, well, at a certain point, I think people have to steer into whether it's mentorship, whether it's classes, video content, whatever it is that's specifically directed for them, for the learner.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, the art community and the indie community is really pretty solid. And what's good about that is if you follow How to Draw, you follow Comics Cast, Art Show, you follow, I could probably list about 16 pages off the top of my head just on social media alone. You're going to be able to see, what's the word I'm looking for? You'd be able to see validation on different creators, and from other creators. So yes, you could just go out there and YouTube, like Vic said, there is a lot of people out there that are making courses, and you probably 50-50 chance getting pretty good. Now, I will vouch for Ed just specifically for the fact that you leave yourself out there and you mentor people like directly on some of your courses. So that's pretty amazing that you're there for that. So I don't know anyone else that does that. And everyone across How to Draw, like if you go to howtodrawcomics.net, like your guys' video stuff is great, and also your books are great. So it's all there for sure. Yeah.
And you know, I think Vic, you were delving into my character creation course, right?
Yeah, I was. I actually had to buy it twice because I bought it the first time and then I couldn't find it. I was like, all right, what happened? All right, and I just bought it again. Yeah, I got lucky. It was the $9.99 sale you had going on. It was the biggest deal. Yeah, I had to buy it twice.
Another course your way then, or something, man. I just want to know: did you enjoy it, or
yeah, I loved it. I especially loved the color portion of it, like why you color characters a certain way. That was another one. I love learning things on color, and that was one of those ones I was just like, you know, mind was blown. I didn't think of characters colors that way. You know, I just thought you think like, why is like that character looks cool, but why does he look cool? Why is he colored the way he is? I had never thought of that.
Yeah, it's so funny because Vic, I respect you so much as a colorist, especially like I said, I cut my teeth as a colorist, and you're a great colorist, and so like for you to say that the lesson on color theory just kind of, you know, that's how cool that is. Like you're a professional colorist, your colors are legit, man, and for you to still get a snippet out of a color theory unit means that, holy shit, okay, well, there's something there. Like I actually put something good out. Like it's great validation for me, man.
Oh yeah, it's an awesome course. I watched the whole thing because you know I can't design characters, but you know, yeah, I really love it, and that one's great. I've gotten other ones. I said this on a post when I first started doing art and like trying to put myself out there. Like these courses were some of the ones that I was picking up to like to learn with. Yeah. So like, you know, I'm not going to stop picking them up. You know, you never know what you're going to learn my whole thing is never stop learning, and that your course right there is one of the main reasons why. Because now I could go design characters with with a color theory behind them,
right,
and,
with some confidence of
pop.
like, okay, at least I know some steps that help build me in the right direction and stuff like that. Right?
Yeah.
My next course that I've got coming out is how to draw mechs, like transformers, bots, all that kind of stuff. Dealing with linear perspective a little bit, but then really trying to simplify it so we can get drawing and stuff. Like we don't want to get too bound up and rigid but understanding some of the basic principles. That's almost, I think as artists, we understand this is like, you have to learn the rules and then, okay, this is how we bend and fudge them a little bit just to achieve a desired effect or something, right? But learning them is important, right? So next, and another course that I'm partnering with some people on is how to make courses, how to make online content.
Nice.
I think I've got such a streamlined process, like not to toot my own horn, but I can sit down and the way I plot a course, the way I make it, like it's just like bang, 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 bang. I've got all the pieces and it's just nicely churned. And I think I can maybe share that with other people that have certain skills. Like if Vic wants to put out a how to color comics course, these are the steps, man. You know what I mean? And then you've got a passive online income that just starts earning for you. So whether it's I've got people approaching me on business courses like PowerPoint and willpower and like different things like that they want to produce, right? One guy is it's a pottery course he wants to make. I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just kind of lay this out for them so that, yes, I'll help them because I know these people, but also like just have this foundation, this structure so that people can just access it and say, that's how it's done. And that's how I can start to put myself out there online in this new online learning growth industry, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You need a course on artistic confidence, because I know there's a lot of artists that lack that, myself included, that can't put themselves out there or market themselves. That's when
I need to take the course on it, or I need to teach a course.
Yeah, exactly. I'll buy that out.
We all have that imposter syndrome sometimes, man. Like it hits us all at different points and everything, right? I don't know. I actually think that's what I loved about the podcast that we used to do. And I think me and Clayton are going to get into that more, was more topic discussions of not stuff that's in a course necessarily, but stuff that all of us artists struggle with, right? Like how do we overcome a block? How do we overcome your girlfriend dumping you? How do we overcome and sit down and get to it, right? How do we not just get to it, but then stand up and stretch and make sure we're healthy as we're getting to it, right? Like there's so many things that we get all crunched up in and stuff like that, right? Mentally, physically and stuff. And I think that's even, you know what? I almost feel like the next show, if you guys ever invite me back, let's talk about some of that stuff, like the health issues and the mind issues of us artists and how we can try to deal with some of them.
Well, that sounds like a really great article for a magazine, actually.
Hey, Men's Health.
No, talking about the community, man. That would be fun. That I'm writing little notes down to myself. Every single time I talk to somebody,
I want to be part of that
magazine. Yeah,
absolutely. We could bring you and Def on and talk about all of that. I don't. I'm guilty of all of those things. I sit at a desk too much. I forget to get up and stretch or whatever. Then after working for a couple of hours, you get up and you're just like, oh, my body's hurt. My body's killing me. Why am I so sore? It would be good to have all of that.
And I've got strategies so much, for that. We all do, actually, I'm sure. But just because physical training is part of whatever I think I do, then, I've got a little bit of specific strategies that can help in that. Guys, though, it's been over an hour and I've got to go eat lunch here.
Yeah, of course.
And Clayton, I don't know what happened in Australia. Maybe he got locked down or something like that. He's also got a baby, and
okay.
All of us fathers.
Yep.
Joe is.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we all
Vic,
are.
you're a father too.
Yeah.
So we all know.
Well, Vic's going to be having another one here pretty soon.
Are you?
Yeah. Coming April.
Yeah.
I love the face. Like he's like, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about it. My bad. I don't know if this is in the world or not.
This is,
I was like,
the
this is my
family
break
doesn't
from
even
that
know yet. They
show.
haven't
Come
done the
on.
announcement. Nothing, right?
Yeah.
Don't watch.
That's a pretty-
Any Medina's out there.
Yeah, not
Joe,
online,
I know
but
your boy is 12 now.
15,
Oh,
13, and 6.
Okay, because the last time I saw him was, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago or something.
Yeah, so in Korea, so he was like 10 years old the last time you saw him, and
And
now
that's the picture I have in my head of him.
yeah, so he's the one that I signed up for your course, but
Yeah.
he's failing a couple of courses right now in school,
Oh,
so like
okay.
I'm covering down on that, trying to get him fixed up in school before I get him
Got
diving into it. The thing that's so funny about him is that he's like that classic case of every great artist and every great series that always said, you know what, I just didn't pay attention in class because I was drawing all the time. So
Yeah.
like I'm conflicted because I'm like, I see potential, but I
Yep.
have to teach him discipline. Like
Yep.
you have to have both
Yep.
to be great. And I can see that he will be great, but the discipline is not there. And I'm like, oh, you're driving me up the wall, man.
How proud are you, though, that your kid draws? Isn't that the coolest feeling?
You know, it's weird. It's like I'm somewhere between super proud and like jealous as hell because he's so good, so fast. And I'm like, oh, I want
Mine's
you.
way better than I was. Oh, yeah. So my kid's in grade 9, and they asked if she can just go into senior art and just take it like grade 12 art, just so she can be done with art because they don't have anything to teach her. They're just like, next year or this year or whatever, just take grade 12 art, like jump 3 years ahead, take it because you're already done it. So just so you have to enter university, you know, like your grade 12 art credits, right? They're like, we'll just put you in the class and stream on through. Like I was like, damn, that's fucking pretty cool.
Is she going to be allowed
Well,
to
you guys
take college courses if she does that? Like some college level art classes?
That's
That
what
might
we're
be an
wrestling
option.
with. Like this, the town that we live in right now isn't really great on a lot of options and
Well,
stuff.
it's Canada, so it's not real freedom. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We got to fight our beavers and moose off just to go to school and shit, right? Yeah.
Well, you know what? You've been looking. I'm not going to get into present reality, but I'm happy that you and your daughter are good. You guys moved from Korea. Things were good. Things will be good again. And I really appreciate you being on the show. And you always have a place
Thank you for
at
getting
any date.
the memo and wearing the. We all got the memo about attire today, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
We're all wearing the black.
We're the men in black.
Yeah, we did not streamline this. We're just a lot of old guys, and we know black is swimming.
With our New Balance shoes or some shit.
But no, I really appreciate being on the show. And if you ever, and oh, you know what? Let's just button it up real quick. When is the challenge, the sequential challenge, going to get sent out there in the world? The results. When is that going to happen?
We did the reviews. So we just need to do the video edits on that. And you know how sometimes that can get a little hinky or something like that. I'm going to say today is February 6th. By the 15th, we'll announce the winners and publish the review on YouTube and everything like that. So we'll put it all out there in by mid-month. It actually will probably be in the next few days, but I just want to give us a little bit of space and buffer that we can do that. And I think it's reasonable. Like I actually had somebody complain to me on the 2nd. They're like, where's the prize? Where's this and stuff like that? And I actually got dinged on Udemy. He gave me a 1-star review because I didn't have this contest done wrapped up in 2 days or something. I'm like, all right, so be it. It'll be done mid-month. That's my promise.
Well, Ed, thank you very much for being on the show. We'll kick you off now, but you know, you're always a 5-star in our heart.
Oh, what a nice goodbye. Okay, guys, I'm out. I love being here. And like I said, next time I pop in, let's talk about artistic health. Mentally and physically. I think that's a great topic for all of us.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. See you guys.
I think that.
I like that idea. That's not a bad idea.
No, I like that. I could definitely learn from that.
A short segment, maybe like a 5-6 minute, like we just pop in, we record it, have a conversation about whatever it is, and then we just post it.
Yeah.
It might be something smart to do. And I'm not lying. I would love to put that in the community. I think that would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. What's one of those things that we don't think about when we're drawing?
Yeah,
You know,
artistic.
by the time we think about it, it might be a little too late for some. You know, our bodies are hurting. You know, we have something else going on. You know, it'd be great to remind people to do those things.
Yeah, Marius is saying I basically say what I mean, and that's true. I totally give him 5 stars, and I was being sort of cheeky and fun with it, but no, he's legit. Dude. He's a good dude. He was my first. Well, he's my. It's weird, you know, and I may have turned into this when I was younger, and I was with How to Draw like 7 years ago. Everybody seemed larger than life. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
man,
right.
I want to meet Clayton, and I want to meet Ed and Rick and all these guys. Like they're like the gold standard. Like I want to be as good as them, and I want to learn from them. And then I met him in Korea, and it was a big deal for me because I was like, man, this is my first time I'm meeting him, and then he liked my stuff. He didn't say it was terrible. I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
So
I'll be honest. That was me. You know, prior to this show. You know, Ed's been on Friday Freestyle, but like, you know, I've never had like the way we're going to talk to him today, the way we talked to him. So I was getting a little nervous. I was like, oh man, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? I've been studying his courses for a long time. So, you know, I was a little nervous, but you know, he's a great guy. He's easy to talk to. He's easy to approach. You know, you ask him to critique your stuff or just take a look at it and he'll do it. He's a great guy.
Well, I will say nothing against anyone who may have missed the stream. There's no hard feelings, no issues with that. Clayton, I don't know what's going on. Sometimes things just happen in life. Like I said, we're all human beings. I'm sure something was going on. And also, we've got a crazy different time schedule. So who knows what happened. But hopefully, Clayton's fine. Whenever we hear from him, I'm sure he'll be fine. We all got families, crazy stuff going on. So some in-house conversation I guess we can have before we close up about what Comics Cast is doing. Still working on the magazine, the community, which we're still figuring out exactly how that works. Got from Justin from Podunk Comics is going to be the feature. He's now developing his comic book line. We'll have Vic, we'll have you on there with your amazing art. We're talking about, well, I don't know how much we want to give away, but it'll basically be tricks and development, like we talked about today, basically, you know, things to learn from. And we'll have the 5-page comic in there, and we'll have other creators and their comics on there as well. And we'll probably have one more interview from another creator, as well as the development of the magazine cover. So all those things will be in that magazine. Really, really big on that. And then it's
really going to be what the community needs, what it's been lacking. You know, I haven't seen a magazine like this since almost since Wizard disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're bringing that back. We're bringing stuff to the community that they're gonna love. They're gonna want to read. They're gonna get to meet their creators. They're gonna learn. They're gonna see other books. It's gonna be fantastic. Can't wait for everybody to see it.
Yeah, and you know, and then every single thing that we have, we're gonna find a way to make sure there's value added to the buyer. So, like, if you get this magazine, you're gonna have access to advanced courses. You're gonna have access to videos of the interview itself, things like that. I mean, so. It's gonna be fun. It'll be a good way to gauge our audience and other audiences, and then a good way to bring the community together. Because, like we said, all these artists that are doing these challenges, the artists that are on How to Draw, one of the things I really wanted to do for a long time was to find a way to have people do these art challenges and really put themselves out there, the ones that really work hard on it, and go, okay, you won this or you were doing this. I'd love to find a way to get you to have like a contract with like another book, you know, actually do a book. So having 5 pages of comic book work every magazine, I think will be a really good opportunity to do that. Be like, hey, you know, you won this challenge, or you were 6th place in this challenge, and you're somebody who's up and coming, but you don't already have work. Like, let's say the 1st place person already does a bunch of work, but maybe the 6th place person, you could tell she finally hit that next level. Okay, you don't have work, but because you got to this level, I'm going to choose you to do this book with us. So the 5-page, I think, would be a really good opportunity.
And there's so many editors out there who will say, you know, send us your published work. Like, we want to see something published. Well, they'll have that now. They'll have that in their portfolio. They'll have that ready to go to say, hey, look, I was in this magazine. here's my pages. And 5 pages is usually what editors are asking for, 5 to 6 pages. So,
Right.
you know, you'll have professionally printed pages ready to show anybody, ready to go.
Exactly. And you'll go through our process. We're not going to be like, you know, so you'll have an editor that's already looking at it. We'll look at your roughs and we'll work through it. So Marius talking about 15 years ago. I don't know if you read this already or not, but there's a magazine here in the Philippines called, is it SciComm? It interviews of artists and little tidbits on how to do comics. It literally pulled me into the creative world, and hearing what you guys are doing, that brings beautiful nostalgia. I think that's what part of the reason why we wanted to do the book. I started looking at what the cost value was for the business end, and I think it's one of those things that I think is absolutely important to legitimize a lot of what we're doing at the indie community right now. The indie community is so huge because of Kickstarter and because of the help that we're getting on Indiegogo and other elements, that we need another anchor that legitimizes what we're all doing. I think it'll be really strong for sure. But yeah, so that's what brought us into this idea. New young people, just like Marius is talking about, can be pulled in by this magazine. So I hope so. And that's going to be the biggest challenge, is going to be how do we distribute it. I'm going to avoid doing crowdfunding as much as I can. I'm looking at putting the book into actual stores, Walmart, things like that. So building that and looking at a way to have it in an actual magazine versus something that we print and then we put it on crowdfunding. I love the idea of crowdfunding. I'm not hitting on anybody for crowdfunding, but my thing is I want people to just buy the book, and that's it. Like, buy the book. I don't want you to fund my business. I don't want you to fund the next book. I want, in my mind, and just personally me, I want to make sure that we have a product and a business that allows you as a customer to just buy a product. And the end goal is to develop the community into a full life sustaining business for everybody. So I can't start with a crowdfunding if I want to kind of push us out of the crowdfunding model. But again, more power to everybody who's successful at it. You guys are doing great work. So what did he say here? Marius said another thing. Marius, you wrote like paragraphs. Love you, brother, but damn. All right. Just starting an artist back then. He wasn't the superstar we know of now. Yeah. Little bit between the comics pages where he talked about his work for Superman, Birthright, hunched over drawings in his interview. And it was, I believe, the first honest peek into the life of an artist, and I found it beautiful. One of the things that Gerald was talking about, he really wants to do this big, is to have studio images, people in their studio. And I absolutely love that idea. How we do it is going to be a little trickier. But yeah, an honest, like that gritty element where you see like the ink on their fingers, or like they have like a soda can and they've just been in their room for like, you could tell they've been in there for like 14 hours. You know, I love the visual of King Kirby and just the idea of how he worked. Like how he never, like when he worked, he was like a machine, and he would just keep working, and all he had was his cigar and probably scotch or something like next to his.
There's that famous image of him at his board where you could just see like his board is just filled with paints, inks, marks all over it, because that's the years of wear and tear on that board of all the work he's done. We want to capture that as well to show everybody like what the artists are doing, and show the space that they create in without them having to clean up too much. We don't want you to have to like clean up your whole room and everything. We want to see where the magic happens.
But yeah, that's going to be a key part of the thing. But yeah, what else? Still working on the app. That's all on me. That's my fault. We got a lot of work to do on that. And then what we're going to do is, if you're not tracking us on YouTube, we're going to keep building YouTube up. Try to get it to a point where it's a little more effective. But I love what we're doing right now. And we're going to start cutting things, splicing things, getting out there more consumable. So looking for ways to make the media part of this effective. But I think I've been always honest. I love that we have an opportunity here to highlight other artists, creators, IP owners, course instructors. All of that's great, because it's all about building the community. But a big part of it is brand building, and what we need to do to get to the next level, so that we can be an effective tool and a platform to help others, is to keep building these other platforms up. So If you're not following us on YouTube, go ahead and follow us on there. Share whenever you guys see this stuff. I usually share a lot, but my thing is I don't want to just throw our stuff everywhere. Put it, if you see our stuff and you're in a group and you think it'll help, share it in that group. Let people know about it. Let people know that's going on. It's all free. We're not looking at anything from anybody from these media. It's just a simple click, like, and share. So, and then let us know what you want from us. That's the big thing. We're shooting in the dark on something. So maybe shoot us what you want from the magazine. I love that Mario said that. That's great. A good thing we were already on the page on that, doing that. But if you're looking at something else from a magazine or a course or maybe something from Vic, great idea from Ed today about focusing on maybe some key things about health. I think that would be great. And I'll talk to Ed about maybe doing that in the book, like a regular sort of like a health corner or something for those guys that are just grinding out, and then all you end up with is a bad back and a tummy because you're not walking enough. That's all I got for the show today. I loved it. I think it was a good show. I think it was great. I love that so many people got involved. We got to see people's artwork and sequentials. Like, god dang, like there's
so many good artists out there.
Yeah, and it just shows that, again, kind of what I said before was like, don't be intimidated. I love the fact the ballsy nature of people submitting your work is just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing that they did it. But everybody's on the same path. Everybody's on the same road. We're just at different stages of the path. So don't ever be afraid to show your stuff. And if you're getting bad vibes from the admin, or you're getting, well, I wouldn't say from the admin, but from other people, just let admin know. We have a group called Art Show. It's just starting off. If you just want to throw stuff on there and there's not a lot of people on there and you want some feedback, throw it on there. We'll give you feedback. There's great people in that group. But I'll vouch for HTDC all day long. There's a lot of people in there. There's always a bad apple here and there, but I've never had really any bad experiences there. So keep posting your artwork. Keep showing your stuff. Come back, hang out with us, and let it out next week. And you'll be able to draw along with us in the challenges. And it'll be fun. That's all I got. I don't want to micromanage our whole time here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and tune in and watch us on Friday Freestyle. We talk about nerd stuff. Whatever happened this week, we'll probably, I don't know if it's the last episode of Book of Boba Fett, but if it is, we'll be talking about that and everything else going on. And also, come on, we'd love to hear about other people's projects as well. So if you're working on a project, come on, chat with us. You don't have to be an artist to draw along. It's just a great forum to chat and get to know each other.
Bingo. All right, you want to take us out?
All right. Yeah, I'll take us out. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.